Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of OTS's series, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, where we chat to ARH connected designers of Destiny and we get their opinions on user submitted cards that have been submitted on the OTS Good, the Bad, the Ugly channel on our Discord. So, episode 3 now. We are very pleased and happy to welcome Echo7. Hi, Echo.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey, and in case you don't know, you probably have seen Echo on and around the Discords or playing him on Tabletop Simulator. In case you didn't know, Echo7 has been a member of ARH since the very beginning, faltering allegiances in various roles, and he is a member of the design team since Unlikely Heroes and continues to this day on design on current and possibly future sets. Let's see. And so we're very happy to have you here. Echo's also known as one of the Echobase guys alongside Lando Wonka and Echo 3, and he is known amongst many people as the data guy.
Yeah. Also want to add, this is the first interview I've ever done for Destiny, so very pleased to be here.
That's good to see.
I'm a bit of a recluse of the Echobase team.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get to it. We will learn about the design process hopefully as we go on. We have a few cards tonight again, as usual. So let's kick things off and get the first card rolling. So let's take a look at this. The first card we're going to have, I believe, is called Imperial Checkpoint. Let's start this again. Okay.
Right. So
let's get this rolling. Let's take a look at the first card that we will be playing, getting Echo's opinion on today. The first card is Imperial Checkpoint, which was submitted by the OTS user Ryan. And for the first time, we've had a battlefield. So we are going to go through the battlefield here. Matthew, see someone peeking in there. Who is that? That might be...
Yeah, I have actually gone round to Echo 3's house to do this interview, so you can watch me squirm as I look at the designs.
He has been in the hot seat and he knows what you're in for.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt, do you want to take us through Imperial Checkpoint then?
Did you say me, Duncan?
I did, yeah.
Okay, yes sir, let's do it. I can't believe this is our first battlefield.
Yeah. Well, it's our first battlefield that we've put on the show. I think there's been some other possible ones in the channel. So.
Okay, so
I started straight away, but yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah. All right. So this is from Ryan. We've got a red villain battlefield. Imperial Checkpoint power action. Remove one resource from a card in play to remove its matching die. Then claim, gain one resource. Or spot a trooper to place one resource on a support in play. So it's an interesting claim. You know, it's just gain a resource, or you can spot a trooper, place a resource on a support. So if you're up against like a support heavy deck, which we've been seeing lots of those float around these days, you know, you can put a resource on like a bad batch or an outrider, and then in a future turn, power action, remove that resource to remove its matching die. Sort of like it's got some utility there, multiple different functions.
Yep.
Excellent. So
what do you think, Echo?
Yeah, so the first thing I was going to say is it's quite unusual to see a battlefield with a power action and a claim. So that jumped out at me straight away. I think FFG only made one, maybe. I'm not really sure on that. They tend to be either power action or claim. Sure. But what I like about it is the fact that the claim and the power action are essentially working towards the same goal. So it's a bit of a gripe of mine when I see cards with 2 or 3 different abilities that don't mesh with each other.
Sure.
These are 2 abilities that do work with each other really well. So yeah, going through them, so that claim ability, gain a resource, we've seen that on plenty of battlefields before. There's the old one, I can't remember its name, which is gain a resource and draw a card. There's another one like the Jabba's Palace, which is gain a resource and spot a bounty hunter to force an opponent to lose a resource. So that doesn't feel overpowered, that feels pretty on curve. But the or spot a trooper thing, and then you're sort of powering up for that power action, that makes it really interesting. It makes it also really asymmetric. So if I'm playing troopers, I need you to also be playing support. So it kind of makes it quite situational. If you're not playing troopers, then you just gain a resource. You never play this in a support deck because you're giving the opponent free mitigation if they have a trooper.
True.
So that's another thing. The remove a resource from a card though could really be painful for characters like Thrawn. I mean, that would be just a nightmare to play against if you were Thrawn.
Against the new Thrawn, seeking answers.
Yeah, that raises a red flag there. So if there's a character, if we're going with the whole like resources on characters as a mechanic, this would really nip that in the bud. So I can't remember what's his name. The mad scientist who brings people back from the dead.
Pershing?
What's his name? Yes, Pershing. So he gets charged up with resources as well.
Yep.
Again, that would be a bit to play against.
So does the new Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, so basically any character with resources going on it, that's going to be a bit of a pain to play against with this battlefield.
Yeah, this is just like hard counter silver bullet for them.
Yeah, so I mean, I would like it, given that it says one resource on a support in play, I'd like the power action to be remove one resource from a support in play, and then it doesn't kill those characters, just dead. But, but I think it's a really interesting design. And do we have any standard battlefields with a claim of gain one resource at the moment?
I don't think is Jabba's Palace.
Oh, Jabba's Palace is in the.
The other
is it on the Echoes?
The other one you were thinking of was Outer Rim Outpost.
That's the one. Yeah.
This kind of reminds me a little bit of a charm mechanic almost as well. You know, with your playing, you're putting a resource, or a charm, and then with your power action, you're removing it. So in the same way that that's a little bit of utility. It's kind of bringing maybe that kind of charm mechanic to Red Villain. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. It's an interesting design.
It is.
Well, interesting design, but does that relate to good, bad, or ugly? That's the question.
Okay, it's tricky. My first rating. Well, I would like it if it said remove one resource from a support in play to remove its matching die. And I'm going to rate them on the basis of subtle changes rather than get hung up on in the exact wording here. So I'm going to go in with a good. I like it. I think it's really interesting. It's quite original, and we've got two abilities that they mesh with each other. They got nice synergy. So I'm going to put a good on that.
Very good.
Well done, Ryan. That is we're starting off with a good.
We've never. This is unprecedented. We've never started off with a good.
Last video, I thought we weren't going to get a single good from El Rafi, and he was like ugly. So
I do really like this card too. I do really like the thought behind it, and I like it as well. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's Obi-Wan Kenobi inspired one as well, which was from the new series.
It is.
Oh, that's cool.
Wonderful. Well, let's follow that up with our second card today, and we have another red villain card here called Imperial Support, which is thematically sounds very similar. Polyfly, you're the
all right.
You're a red guy. You can take us through this.
I am a red rebel. Well, this is more Imperial, but that's fine. So it's a 5.
I can't actually see it at the moment. Sorry.
How about now?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Cool.
There we go.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll queue up again, and we'll do a re-edit there. Polyfly. Polyfly, why don't you take us through this one? Imperial Support.
Perfect. Imperial Support is a red villain plot, but it costs 5, which is quite a few plot points. But it says after you resolve a vehicle die showing damage, place 1 resource on this plot. And then it has an action, remove 5 resources from this plot and spend 2 resources to add a set-aside ATST, Awakenings number 5, to play to your play area exhausted. So you're giving up 5 build points to try to pump out some ATSTs, it looks like.
So, interestingly, the ATST, if I remember correctly, it costs 5 to play? So
6, was it? Or...
Is it, 6, okay. Yeah, so like this, you're essentially spending a little bit more than that, right?
Well, yeah, because you have to get vehicles out there already, and those vehicles have to resolve damage.
Right. But the special on that thing was mean. I think it just said flat out discarded support, right? Wasn't that what it did?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so it can an ATST could take out an AT-80. Yeah.
Or a blizzard, you know?
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
A capital spaceship that can take out a Star Destroyer.
Yep.
true.
Again, it's 5 build points, but you probably get there quite quickly. I mean, if you're playing a cheap, a TIE Fighter deck or something like this, you're going to get there, you'd hope, by maybe tail end of turn 2.
Yeah, I reckon end of turn 2, if you build around, would be about as long as it would take. And then you'd hope you'd maybe hit another one round 3, maybe beginning of round 4, but then we're talking about a fairly long game there. 5 build points is a lot. And I know we said the ATST costs 6, but I wouldn't pay 6 for that these days. Yeah, the special's pretty brutal. And it has no blanks, as I remember. Handy to actually have a look at that card to remember exactly how good it is. But I think it's got like a 3 range side, that kind of thing.
I'll just take us through quickly. It's got a 3
Sure,
range, a 3 range, a 4 ranged, a 5 range, 1 resource, 2 shields.
I remember.
2 shields and 2 specials, which is discard a support from play. So
just
it's
straight up discard a support from play, like nothing else.
Yeah,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So essentially a blank unless you're playing a support. Although I guess most decks these days are running at least 1 support, even if it's like a utility support or something like that. Yeah, BB-8. Yeah, just 5 BB-8 to Oblivion. Okay, so
it's not a power action, it's an action. I just realized that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. It is an action. So I mean, even if it was a power action, you'd be unlikely to get this off twice a round. But because it didn't get set aside, you could do it 1 round and then the next round. I think 5 is a lot of points to eventually get a free support. I think you'd be better off spending 5 points on like some more character dice and then just ramping up to some better supports. So on balance, I would give it fewer points for this. I do like the concept of it, that you're getting extra supports with a plot, which is kind of cool. Vehicle dice showing damage is kind of tricky. That could be a while.
If I told you that this card
and it costs 2 resources as well.
Spend 2 resources. If I told you this card was designed by that Wookiee smell, would that change your mind in regarding to how you?
Does it get swayed one way or another?
I mean, not really. Interesting. So again, I like that it's in one theme. You've got vehicles; they're doing a bunch of stuff. And one thing I would like about it is you're resolving vehicle dice showing damage, and therefore you get more support. So I'm struggling to see the theme there. I'd like maybe utility resolving, generating your ATST. Maybe that'd be kind of cool, rather than like you're like hammering the enemy with laser cannons and then suddenly another ATST appears because of that.
It's like a win.
But I like the idea.
Win more card.
Yeah. So I like the idea of a plot that you'd have to work for and you get some other cool stuff coming in.
Sure.
So I think that's a really cool idea. But I think that, and maybe if you explain it to me, then I could understand it a bit better. But I feel like theme-wise, I'm not so comfortable on it, and it's quite a lot of points. So again, like the concept, but I feel like it's being a little ugly.
It's ugly. Oh, okay.
Got it.
And that's generally down to the balance of the card, you would say, as well as
a bit of balance, and also just the showing damage thing. It's what you said, the kind of win more thing on that. Unless you can come up with a really good way of explaining why, if you're firing stuff at your opponent, then another ATST comes in. Then I'd give that ugly.
The Echobase guys, they love their theme. That is your shtick. Love it.
We're playing a game with one of the best themes in the world, man. Come on.
Exactly. If the theme ain't right, then what are we even doing? Okay, well, we're going to start that with ugly. So apologies that wiki smell, but better luck next time. And then we will move on.
Ready?
The next card, I can read out. It's called Gamorrean Protection, with that lovely Gamorrean guard from Book of Boba Fett with his,
Oink oink.
oink oink.
Love the flavor text.
It is a 1-cost yellow villain support, so that's pretty good. Before an opponent deals damage to one of your yellow characters, you may discard this support and remove one of your dice to block damage equal to the value showing on the removed die. So if someone's got like a 3-way, if someone with an ATST brought in from Imperial Support is about to deal damage to one of your guys, Boba Fett, you may discard this support, the Gamorrean Guard, remove one of your dice and deal damage, block damage equal to the value of that die. So you need to remove a 3-cost die to get rid of the to block the damage equal to that. So I can't quite remember who did this at the moment. We'll maybe see if Majo and Polly can remember at the end of this. But what do you think of that one, Echo 7?
So, first up, guard subtype. That's kind of cool. I do like to see random subtypes on cards because it opens up design options for the future. It always feels like a missed opportunity when you forget a subtype on a card. So, yours there. Like the flavor as well. And one thing I really like that I know Echo 3 is going to like as well, because it's his thing, is it's a yellow villain card that removes your own dice. So, straight away, I'm thinking Black Stole Station decks. And that whole remove your own dice mechanic thing that's the yellow villain identity since Unlikely Heroes. So kudos there on working in an ARH theme to a card. So that's really nice. The actual mechanic of it, so you're discarding the support, which costs 1, and removing one of your dice to block damage equal to the value showing on the removed die. It feels quite expensive.
Yeah.
It's a resource, a
Maybe I'm
card,
wrong there,
and
but-
a die.
There's a resource, a card, and a die. That's quite a lot to only block the damage that the die's value had anyway. I mean, normally when most of these remove your own die mechanics you're removing like the pretty rubbish dice. Like you're unlikely to remove, you're moving 2 or above.
Right.
You're probably going to block 1 damage. Maybe you'll have a stranded modifier that you'll want to do with this, but I can't see myself as written playing this card.
So
just because it didn't feel strong enough there.
one thing that is nice about this compared to what's that? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. What's the support that can soak up damage instead of Den of Thieves? Den of Thieves. Den of Thieves is not optional if I remember correctly, whereas this is. Right?
Den of Thieves is optional, right?
Den of Thieves
Is it optional?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, no,
Yeah.
never mind.
All these nodding. Yeah, definitely optional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was gonna say this says you may. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that does make it more powerful, obviously. I mean,
Yep.
if it wasn't optional, then it would suck if you only had 1 die. And it was a
Yeah.
good die.
I compare this to something like what the troopers have in Riot Shield, right? Like it's a 1 cost, 2 costs, and you can block up to 3 just with it by itself. Like it's pretty good. So yeah. So I mean
That's a good point.
the costing 1 plus a card plus a die, yeah, it does seem pretty steep.
Yeah. Yeah, the difference there between that and the Riot Shield is basically the die.
Yeah.
And obviously, dice pretty good. And also, it's not going to block 3.
Right.
Because you're not going to be moving it. You're not going to be moving a 3.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what's the chance you got a 3 that you're just happy to remove?
Yeah,
Unless
exactly.
at the end of the game it's going to save a character.
It's like a 1 cost would normally remove a die, like a sail or a fury or something like this, So rather than just removing the die, this is kind of blocking the damage, which doesn't feel as quick or as valuable to me. But then again, you do have it sitting on the table, so it's once that card's down, you don't need the card in your hand. It's like Viper Proctoid. That's something that sits there for until you need it, So maybe it's got that going for it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, so I mean, supports that can block stuff. I mean, we know how good Den of Thieves is, because it can just sit there until you really need it. So,
Yeah, it can also
I mean,
prompt some unusual play patterns in your opponent. Just like Den of Thieves does. They have to be really
Yep.
careful about how they resolve the modifiers, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, give it a rating.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, you've got your subtype, you've got your yellow villain theme. So I'm loving the thought that has gone into making this a thematic like AOH style card. But
But
as it's written, I can't see myself ever playing it. It would. I don't want to get hung up on balance, but it's unbalanced. It's just not good enough. I mean, maybe we can consider it at 0 cost, or do something with the text to just make it better. But in the light of the amount of time we have, then I'm going to give this a bad rating, but say awesome work on the theme. So,
awesome work on the team, but bad. I was hoping it was going to be an ugly as dog shit that Echo gave.
Hey,
Yeah.
Duncan, I remember who made this card now. I looked at my notes.
Who was that? Tell me again.
I believe Echo 3 gave us this card.
You actually got that out really well.
I said, didn't I? The theme is spot on. I just don't think it's balanced. And it's got 0, that's what I said. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. I said that, didn't I? That
Yes,
it
you
is
did.
got 0.
Yep.
Yeah, you
Okay.
did. Well, I'll tell you what.
As it is, it's bad, right?
Could you tell Echo to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down to your rating of it? What does he think about it being called bad?
He gave me the B sign when I gave it a bad rating. So
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
yeah.
There you go.
But then you've given it a 1, so yeah.
Yeah.
I should have known that was you. I should have known. I mean, Spot. I said that was your thing. Yeah.
Well, you guys do know each other pretty well, it seems.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. Majo, do you want to take us through the next card?
All right. Next up, we have Jar Binks, Gungan General. This is a red hero character. 9 health, 9 team building points for single die, 12 team building points for elite. So we got 2 melee. So so all of the die sides have an indirect cost here. So 2 melee, 2 indirect, 2 shields, 1 focus, 1 money. Character, and a blank, of course. Character Gungan Leader. After you activate this character, you may deal yourself 1 indirect damage to roll 1 additional Jar Binks die into your pool. Power action, re-roll all of this character's character dice. So that's a throwback to the old Jar, right? A little similar mechanic there. Then, you may resolve them in any order for free. So, and this is by Fablewick. Fablewick has come on to the Good, the Bad, the Ugly channel and has been posting a bunch of great ideas. So,
Yeah.
Echo,
So,
what do you think?
Interesting. Yeah. So first of all, theme, because we love theme. I mean, Jar just makes a mess of everything. So the indirect sides down the board is great. I like that.
Yeah.
And again, with his after ability, after you activate the character, you deal yourself 1 indirect to roll another 1 in. That's that feels Jar. It's a bit, it's messy. You're getting another die in. Cost wise, 9/12 with 9 health. That's about right, but for a character who's probably going to be hitting yourself for quite a lot of indirect damage, 9 health feels a little low. But that's a sticking point. The power action is where it gets quite interesting. So you reroll all his dice, and then you may resolve them in any order for free. I mean, for free, we're obviously talking about passing on the indirect sides.
Yeah.
So, and they're all decent. I mean, if we ignore the indirect, you've got a focus, 2 shield, 2 indirect, 2 melee, 1 resource. So the first time I looked at it, I thought, never going to play this character because that's a lot of indirect eating. But with that power action, most of the time you're getting 2 or maybe 3 dice out resolved on a 9/12 that have decent sides. You just don't get to choose what they are, basically, and that again feels kind of Jar. And subtypes again, like my subtypes. He's a Gungan, spot on. Leader, yeah, sure. He's been made the Bombard General. That makes sense. And the leader subtype's very valuable at the moment. We got commands, spot up to 2 leaders to remove up to 2 dice. Oh, yeah, that many dice. So that's a very relevant subtype. And also for things like Power of the Tribe, there's so many leads out there. That turns that on. So it's got a lot going for it, and I like that it feels Jar Jar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So
And
that's cool.
it's 3 dice, character dice, that you would be hoping to reroll. After you activate it, you can deal an indirect to roll an additional Jar Jar Binks. So it's almost like a 3 dice character for 12.
Yeah, and you'll be
Which-
playing 3 wide probably, so you'll have the health early on to soak up that extra damage. You can play bubble shields as well. You would run bubble shields with this guy, right?
Yeah.
Med packs, man. Med pack all day on this guy.
Med packs.
Med
yeah.
pack, yeah.
Cool. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely seems like you want to activate him, take an indirect probably on your other character, maybe your other middle character, and then just immediately as your next action, just power action him, right, and hope to get immediate value on all 3 of those dice. Hopefully, none of them roll a blank. But I mean, heck, even if you get like a focus and $1, I guess. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it says re-roll all of this character's character dice, then you may resolve them in any order for free. So if you roll a focus, you can resolve that, focus your blank into whatever, and then resolve it, right? That's still legal in that with sort of within that power action context.
Yep.
There you go. I mean,
and that's pretty good. I mean, what's the chance of rolling a focus if you've got 3 dice? It's pretty good. Can't do that off the top of my head, but it's it's about 1 in 3 ish. So you're likely going to be hitting a side you want. You can focus, do a bit of damage. Chances are you're going to be dealing about 4 damage, or gain some money with this guy. I mean, that's a strong power action. And who cares what you roll when you roll out? It just gives your opponent 1 extra turn to mitigate, basically.
Yep.
I like.
Oh, it'd be really interesting with Swift.
That's what I was going to say.
So you activate him, and then you immediately power action. His dice become unmitigatable. So that's pretty strong. I don't think it's broken because you only get 2 Swifts, and it's just random what you get. But
yeah,
pretty strong play.
I like characters like this that have this really interesting interaction or effect, but they have somewhat of a lower health to counterbalance it. Like FN 2199. He had the cool thing where you could roll in the weapon once per turn and get an additional value out of that die. It really was unfortunate for him that he was such low health because he just got spiked so fast. But yeah, this I like this. This is really interesting.
It's like a memorable character. When you think back to old characters in Destiny, like FN2199, you remember them and you go, that was the guy that did that, rather than them just someone that's got like a 1 side, a 2 side, and did a special that's dealing 1 unblockable damage or something. This you would remember. Everyone remembers the old Jar Jar Binks for the same kind of reason. That's why I like him, because it's unique to that character. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of current Bo-Katan. This feels like a very thematic fair Bo-Katan.
Play them together, yeah. Well, thanks Fablewick for getting involved in OTS and sending us that card. Echo 7, what would you give that as a rating?
I'm going to give it a good. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. It's on theme. It's got a lot going for it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
That'd be a fun to play.
Good.
All right. Excellent.
Okay. Let's move on then. I know Polly is a big fan of this card. I think he was explaining how much he loves it to us earlier. So
I think that was Majo, because I think this fits into some stuff that Majo plays, but I would be more than happy to present this one. This is an event called Lightning Strike. It's villain blue for 2 costs. It says spot a Sith to deal 1 damage to a character, then remove 1 of its character dice. Deal 1 damage to that character for each of its character dice that are not in the pool. So removal, 2 cost, removal, plus I get to hit you in the face for at least 1.
Well,
yeah.
Well, actually, at least 2, right? Because you're dealing 1 unconditionally.
Oh, right. You're doing 1 unconditionally. Yeah. That's right. Yep.
So 2 minimum, but a max of 3. Only removes 1 die, but it's potentially massive damage out of hand. That's why I loved it.
I do like damage out of hand, but I'm a red yellow kind of guy for that.
Yeah.
Majo is the Sith Inquisitor player, so.
What do you think, Echo? Oh, go ahead, Duncan.
No, I'm just saying it's like I'd love to play this against Jinjarin, with the 3 character dice, you get any
Yes.
value there, or any potential three dice characters.
That's a great point, Duncan. Yeah, this is a really cool card. Because you if you're spending 2, you want to be removing a character dice, and you want another one of those dice to maybe already be out of the pool.
Yeah.
And the more if them having 3 dice, that's the odds of that are increased. So, because you really want this to have max value.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, 7,
Yeah.
what do you think, man?
So yeah, straight off, it only removes character dice, which isolation did that for 1 resource, so that's kind of your benchmark. And Spot of Sith as well, which seems fair. So yeah, you're dealing 1 damage, and then as you say, you're definitely dealing 1 more damage. I would, as you say, great against Din Djarin, but I would be worried about hanging on to it on the off chance that he only has 1 die left. Then if you do smack him for 3, that's quite nice. I wouldn't mind doing that. Guaranteed 2 damage. 2 damage from hand with a card again costs a resource, so it feels really balanced. It's tricky. I'm going around in circles here. I do like it. I think you've got your damage from hand. It feels kind of themey because you're hitting them with lightning and you're removing a character die. That feels pretty cool. And it feels pretty balanced. So
Well, can I just
the problem is I don't know. It's the kind of card that just wouldn't quite make the 30.
Really?
For me anyway, I know a lot of people like damage from hand. I'm not a huge fan of it in my decks, although a lot of other people are. I probably wouldn't quite make my 30, but as a card, I think that it's a really interesting idea. You got your character dice removal, you got your damage from hand, and the mechanic deal 1 damage to that character for each of its character dice that are not in the pool. That is completely original. I've not seen that before.
Who loves this card is Big Maul, who can power action play an even event, reducing its cost by 1.
God, yeah.
That would be a bit broken.
And he just got balanced. Yeah, he just got. You say it's broken, but you're paying a lot of points for Maul. I know he just got balanced, but you're paying a lot of points for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're essentially paying those points so that you can play even costed events cheaply.
Yes.
Your Powers of the Week is also really good for 1 resource. So I don't think that's a huge problem.
Echo, do you want to take a guess who designed this one?
Oh,
I'll give you a hint. It's not one of your compatriots.
It's not Land of War. Yeah. Well, we found it quite unusual because it was not a Java-based card.
Oh, okay. Was it Mando?
Yes, it was.
It was Rando. Rando made this one, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Not only is it not Java-based, but it also kind of makes sense. Because I thought his other Java designs were rather. They were fun, but they were very off the wall. This is a solid. It feels blue villain.
Serious on here.
Yeah, I don't want to be over positive, but I think I'm going to give this a good rating as well. I think this is cool.
Can I ask you a question then, which might get into the design process a little bit?
Sure.
Because as someone who's doesn't know anything about the balancing processes that you go through, when I look at that, I look at it. You said earlier, 1 cost isolation would be remove a character dice, blue villain, but also lightsaber throw is in the Echoes of Destiny reprint list, I think, and that's also a 1 cost villain card. So they can both be played. For me, that's like playing a lightsaber throw and an isolation, but in 1 card rather than 2 different cards. It's the same cost, and you're removing 1 character dice and dealing 2 damage minimum. So is there not an argument for maybe saying if you combine the abilities of 2 cards and cost them the same as it would be, but that's 1 card, is there maybe an increase in sort of value there or anything? How would you judge that?
Yeah, I agree up to a point with what you're saying, and I'm sure other people might take a different stance on this to me. Things like, mitigation, a card that says removes 2 dice that costs 2 is generally better than a card that costs 1 and removes 1. But kind of a card that does a techie thing as well, I feel that often you're not going to be in a position to be sitting on 2 resources to do something removal and techie at the same time. So that's why I don't have a problem with it kind of rolling into one. Typically, as events especially have got more expensive, especially into the 3s or 4s, they've done like increasingly good things for that extra resource.
Yeah.
Because you're just not often sitting on that many resources. I know 2's easy, you start the round with 2 resources, but then if you spend 2 resources, your starting resources, and blue villain's also kind of generally limited on resources typically, you're spending all your money on only one bit of mitigation and some damage from hand. So for the faction, I don't have a problem with rolling it into one card, because it kind of feels a bit more situational, that you kind of want to only remove one character die and deal 2 damage and not one or the other. But no, I see the point. Things like what's it called? Something hatred, or the blanket die and then deal damage.
Unending hate.
Yeah. So that feels better value than this, for instance, because that often does 2 damage and soft mitigates a card for 1 resource. So as that as your comparison, then this feels slightly worse. Although saying that unending hate is so good, it's easy to compare to that. But no, I see your point when you roll it into one. But I think as a rule, other than like cards that just do pure mitigation, I think they've generally got stronger as you add that extra resource rather than weaker.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you're telling me, Duncan, is that Random Mando milled you last night, and you want Echo to change his score to ugly, but it's not going to happen.
I was actually trying to get him to uprate it to get a good, but I tried, Randall.
I did give it a good.
He did give it a good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
Well, okay.
I did say I'm the positive one of the team.
That's some really good insight though into the how that works though. So that's good.
Yeah.
No,
that was a great thought, Duncan, for sure.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next one then. The next one was from the wonderful Super DK, one of his early cards that he submitted, and that's Lucky, and I'll take us through that one. I love the artwork on this. That's just great. Yellow neutral upgrade for 2 cost, no blanks. So reminds me a little bit of Hans Dice immediately, but anyway, it's an upgrade ability. With after you activate attached character, you may re-roll any number of its character dice, which is useful. Nice thing to have. The power action is choose a symbol to re-roll this die. If it rolls the chosen symbol, resolve it, increasing its value by 1, which is good. But then you look at the die and it's got no blanks, so you're going to get value from it. And it's got 3 sides. You've got a focus, a shield, and a resource. So obviously that's a 1 in 3 chance of getting whatever it is that you want. So potentially you got 1 in 3 chance of it paying for itself straight away if you powered action it and get 2 resources. Or I think you powered action this every time myself, but we'll find out what Echo 7 thinks. With that upgrade, with that regular static ability as well of re-rolling its character dice is probably, I've underappreciated ability anyway.
And it's
it's
neutral yellow. It's good. I like it.
This is very strong in my opinion. I mean, it's got a lot going on here. No blanks is just huge.
Yeah, I think Jaren I think as well. Re-rolling his character dice.
Yeah.
That's 3 character dice you're getting a free re-roll on potentially. Echo 7, what do you think?
Okay, so no blanks are obviously good, but I don't want those 1 shield sides. Really, I mean, you're not going to want to resolve them. As you're saying, are you going to power action it? Yes, you're going to power action it every time. I think that's without question.
There's no downside. Power action.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. I mean, it's basically it's kind of like a weird do or do not, but without the downside that you have to remove it if you don't resolve it. I like that, it's called Lucky, and then the power action is you're choosing a symbol and you hope to hit that symbol. 1 in 3 though means that essentially 1 in 3 times you're going to spend an action and you'll get the thing. You're probably going to choose resources, but it could be focus. But I mean, worst case scenario, you just get a reroll on it for free, and hopefully it's something slightly better. It'd be kind of suck. I mean, you know, if you're at a resource side, are you going to power action it? I suppose maybe if you just want the money, you might just take it. But I still feel like, you know, 2 in 3 chance of not getting it, and then you're spending 2 resources on a card that doesn't have great sides. I do like the after you activate ability. That's kind of cool. And again, it fits in kind of with the lucky theme. It's an ability. Yeah, what I was going to say, the power action thing. Yeah, that makes sense because of course you can only do it once. You can only be lucky once. My mind immediately went to new Snoke. Can you break it with Snoke somehow by rolling it in twice? But no, you can't. That was a pipe dream that got squashed quite quickly. And again, you know, neutral. Dinjarin would like it, but he wants weapons more. I don't think you'll be playing it with Dinjarin, especially for 2 resources.
Yeah.
And its ability, which is nice. You know, we're kind of lacking yellow abilities at the moment. It'd be fun to see a character that had some like play with abilities in the future. So it'd be nice to have some more abilities in the yellow corpus.
Maybe
I think somebody else needs to say something before I give it a rating.
No, I mean, I was going to say it almost feels like it is only lucky. The flip side of lucky is unlucky. It feels like maybe there should be an unlucky side in it as well, like a blank or something to me.
Or like,
know, with a blank on it. Or if you hit the blank on a powered action, you have to remove a character dice or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Duncan. You know, I was actually thinking that power action should say, you know, if it doesn't roll that symbol, you have to remove the die, right? I mean, that might be a bit much, but you know. Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
And make
like,
it 1 cost.
I could see that. Do that and make it 1 cost, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm playing this, and I don't know how many yellow decks Norman plays, but I'm playing this in every yellow deck I play because I seem to roll blanks more than not. And if I can get some free rerolls out of it, I'm playing it every day of the week.
Yeah, I love this in like just a utility card in a support deck, and even in like a big little deck, you might play this on your little who they're not targeting. It's really fun. That's for sure.
It's hard to know when a card like this is overpowered or underpowered. That's why we need people like Echo 7
Well,
there. Because you could argue for it being overpowered with a powered action, or you could argue for it being underpowered and it needs to be a 1 cost or something. You know, yeah, I don't know.
Cards with dice.
One other thing I was
just
just going to say, one other thing I wanted to say was, you know, to the fact that it's got 2 of each symbol. So you got the same odds on any of them. I think that was quite a neat move there.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
1/3.
This is a Super DK card, and he puts a lot of thought into his cards. He has previously got a Chef's Kiss from Echo 3, so is it going to be a Chef's Kiss from Echo 7 this time, or are we going to get a Badder and a Goy? Who knows?
Yeah. So first of all, I like the theme. You've got your ability of being lucky, which is kind of cool. The after ability is all about luck. The power action is about luckiness, which is cool. The dice are, you know, the 3 symbols. Each one of those, you know, given the situation in the game, you might want to choose one or the other. I can't quite see for 2 cost it making the cut.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with bad.
Sure.
Go with bad.
Again, the theme. Excellent work on the theme.
Okay. No problem.
Right.
And it looks really awesome. I mean, that's a steely glare there from hand. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is. Have we had any ugly cards this week?
Yeah, there was one, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was one. Yeah, we had one.
There was
I
one.
can't remember what it was, but there was.
The ATST one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, that
the
Imperial.
plot. The plot.
Yeah. Sorry, Wookiee Smell.
It's feel. I don't know what you other guys think, Majo and Polly, but it does feel like the level of the design of the cards that we're getting are a lot better than they were in, for example, episode 1.
I think so, yeah.
We only have 7 cards or 8 cards for this round, and it's because that they're so, like, thematically these cards have been very good that we've picked out and that they've submitted, and they're getting much more harder to evaluate. I mean, we're only into episode 3, and we're already, like, taking more time. It's not just gut reactions like with a few of them from the first couple of episodes. So yeah, it's getting good.
And I mean, I've stopped submitting cards because all my cards are ugly as hell. So don't want to get laughed out of town like I did last time with El Rathian. Anyway,
Oh, that was fun.
right. Well, Polly, you can take us to the next one, which is a card that is impossible to read out the card title without doing the voice. So I think that's one for Polyply.
All right, here we go.
What's this
A
one?
1-cost event. That's not how the Force works. It says spot a blue character to remove a die showing damage. Then you may spot a yellow character to roll that die back into its owner's pool to gain 2 resources. Hero blue. I'm not sure that that's how the Force works, guy. Spotting a blue character to remove a die. Spot a yellow character to then roll it back out to gain 2 resources. Here, I'm going to make you remove this. But you can go ahead and do whatever you want with it. I'm going to take some money.
Yeah.
So you net gain 1.
Net gain 1, I guess.
I feel like there's been a handful of cards over the years that have tried to make blue yellow work together, and they just don't quite ever
Yeah.
work together.
You know, one card that ARH designed, which is blue yellow, is Echo 3 to Echo 7.
Yeah, that's
Blue
right.
and a yellow combo. Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody ever plays it because it's just not very good.
But we have like the Mandalorian Vault, and then there's the one
the
yellow
Mana Vault,
support. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
You would have
there's-
noticed in Unlikely Heroes, there were quite a lot of cards actually that were 2 different colors mentioned.
Yes, that was
Um,
very clear. Yes.
Yeah, so that was something that Rock Control was quite keen on introducing as a theme to that set. It's funny, these things, I don't know if they get communicated, you just kind of have to work them out. So I'm glad you noticed that. But that was something we worked on quite a bit to try and get really interesting combo cards. There was a risk some of them would be too powerful. You know, if a color combination was powerful anyway, and then you give it like a really strong card that works for those 2 colors. So like, there's maybe a risk that greed is a little too good for red yellow. But I think generally it has been successful, and you get these really interesting. Oh, if I did this color combination, I could play that card. Like red blue has like This Is War, which I haven't actually seen anyone play, but it's really kind of an interesting mitigation tempo. Anyway, so this is another card which is 2 colors, so that's cool. So we got blue yellow. Sort of like Luke's Offer has a kind of blue yellow thing going on as well. So I think you can read this as, if you've got blue yellow, re-roll an opponent's die showing damage.
Remove
Gain
an
1
opponent.
resources. No, but you can read it as re-roll
Oh, sure.
an opponent's die
Is it
showing
being
damage to gain 1 resource.
Right.
If you or you could read it as a what's the covert missions card? Fluid Riposte.
Oh,
A
yeah.
blue character to remove die showing damage. So you can do either, and also you can use it on your own die and say
Yes.
whose player it is. So you can remove your own die, or you can just gain a resource to re-roll your die showing damage. It does a lot. I would be worried that would potentially be too good. I mean, if it just said spot a blue character, just remove a die showing damage, it would be just on par there straight away. And the spot a yellow thing to roll it back in makes it like flexible ramp, or you can do removal.
Sure.
It's
So I've got a question.
I love
for
the
you,
fact
Echo.
that it's told that's not how the Force works, which it's like, this isn't how the Force works. It doesn't make any sense. But it's, I like the blue yellow thing, like playing off there. That's kind of cool.
So Echo, would you ever, because blue yellow, we already said is sort of not the strongest pairing, and this is clearly hero. So like blue yellow hero,
Yeah.
they're not out there making waves, winning tournaments. Like probably in one of those fantastic charts in like analyses you've done, you probably wouldn't see them well represented. So like, is there ever an argument to say, you know what, we're gonna give that pairing like a slightly above curve? Is that a thing that we do?
It's a thing that has been discussed, and there are cards that would fit that bill. It's a really dangerous game to play, because as soon as you design a card that's overcurve or significantly overcurve to like boost a faction that just is struggling, then you are effectively saying we have to keep designing subpar characters for those factions to balance them out.
Yeah.
Like it's like the faltering allegiances -1 plot for spies. It's like, well, now all spies, while that's still current, have to be like pointed like 0.5 slightly worse than they should be. Because otherwise it's kind of unfair. That's maybe a bad example because there's only so many spy pairings. But it's a dangerous game to play to like try and pull up a faction by designing a card to pull up that faction, because then you're sort of damning that faction's characters in the future.
A good example.
Definitely an argument for.
Sorry, I was saying a good example of that is the mission that never ends with troopers.
Yeah, and then it had to be balanced to 3. But now at least it costs something.
Sure.
It's fair, because previously it didn't cost anything essentially for a trooper deck. Which became quite quickly apparent was a problem, especially with its mission subtype. So you got covert mission.
Would this be a reason to play blue-yellow hero? Would this be a card good enough to make you go, oh, I'm going to try and build a big blue-yellow partnership? Is it good enough?
I mean, not for me, but blue-yellow isn't really my thing. I wouldn't say it's like massively OP or anything. I mean, it's above par. But this probably wouldn't be enough incentive for me to play blue-yellow. It's probably not so. This isn't hitting that bar of we made an OP card to make a certain faction too good. But it's a really good question about that. Interesting.
It's definitely.
Well, I can tell you it's by Hip Gangster from the OTS user. So credit to him for making Echo 7 ponder it a little bit more than he might.
It's definitely one of those cards where if I'm playing a blue-yellow for whatever reason, like down the line, this is a card that I'm like, oh yeah, that card is going in this deck because why not, right?
Yep. It'll be in your first like 10 cards you put in. Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, you have to hope that it's in the first 10 cards you draw, because then you're getting the real value from it. You may lose your blue character,
especially as you have to have the blue character for it to do anything.
Yeah, you gotta have exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're gonna push your Echo 7.
Sure. So I like that it's a blue-yellow thing. That's kind of cool. I feel like it's a little above curve as is, and it feels. I don't know. It just feels a little bit messy. I'm not sure how I would make it cleaner. It's just something about it feels a bit weird, the way you're removing a die, but then you're also doing this other thing. So it also does that ramp thing. So I'm gonna give it an ugly. Sorry about that, Hip Gangster. But I find it really interesting the way that it does both things. That's kind of cool. And also I like the fact that the name, like, you managed to take that quote and turn it into a card. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I know if there's one user, a OTS member that can take being called a designer of an ugly card, it's Hip Gangster. So sorry, Hip Gangster. We've got one card left, guys. So we are on the final furlong, and it's probably a good one for Majo to read out. Terra Sanubi.
Let's do it. Here we go. Terra Sanubi, Wise Master. So if you are a fan of Clone Wars, you know this guy. So he is a 14/17 blue hero, 11 health. Character Jedi. 1 melee, 2 melee, 1 focus, 1 shield, 2 shield, money. So no blanks. Kind of reminiscent of old wise wizened Yoda. Doesn't have those that 3 melee side, but after the start of the first round, you may spend 2 resources to either add a set aside Patient Padawan to your team, or add a set aside Jedi Apprentice to your team. This character gains the chosen set aside character's abilities. So that is interesting. We've never seen anything like that. So we have sort of a precedent in Veers. He can bring a trooper. This is really interesting. So Patient Padawan is like that can mill you character, and then the Jedi Apprentice is the one that you can play weapons on him and they gain redeploy. So that's kind of interesting. It's like, what are you in the mood for? You might go either way.
And
What
can
do you
you
guys
remind
think?
how many points those are? Those characters.
Yeah, they're both 7-point characters.
Okay. Although
uh,
actually, Patient Padawan's 8 now, right?
Yes,
Uh,
it got adjusted. It got adjusted.
Yes, he is 8
Yeah.
in the DRH standard. Yeah, but yeah, okay. We can just quickly go through those. So it's the card. So with the Patient Padawan, after you resolve this die showing a shield, three shield sides, you may discard the top card of a deck. So it's kind of melee. He's got a focus, a shield, 2 shields, and a resource. So Patient Padawan's, he's a good one. Jedi Apprentice has a melee, a 2 melee, a shield, and a resource. And you can play weapons on him, which get redeploy if you have a Jedi, which you will.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for me, I don't ever see a scenario in which I add the set aside Padawan, Patient Padawan. You know?
Mhm.
That's just me. I would always add the other guy who has
is a
the
great
melee side.
character. Patient Padawan's a great character, but in a mill deck.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not using this guy in a mill deck. So yeah,
Yep.
it's likely to be the Jedi Apprentice. Yeah, who really hasn't seen much play.
Right.
I mean, it is the health that you're getting as well. I mean, you could spend those 2 resources on a good 2-cost upgrade, which would have better sides than the Patient Padawan. But you get an 8 health if you add him in. I mean, that's what That's what
That's
you're
true.
you're doing, and the apprentice is 7 health. So
Yeah, so we could sort of think of this character as, let's pretend you don't have to spend 2 resources. That would make this character essentially a 7/10, or thereabouts, because you're getting 7 free points.
Mhm.
Which obviously is quite low for 11 health and no blanks and no sides. But you do have to spend those 2 resources to get the characters. And it says you may, but you'll never ever ever play this character and not spend 2 resources, because 14/17 is massively overcosted for what you're getting. So you are spending 2 resources. And this person it says he gets their abilities, which is kind of cool. So you get the weapon redeploy thing on all weapons if you had the Jedi Apprentice. You might do the Patient Padawan and try and go mill. I said you wouldn't, but then I forgot that he would get that ability. So you get like the big mill going with his shield
if you
sides.
resolve a shield, you would get to discard the top card. Yeah.
Is it
so
every time you resolve a shield you get to discard a card? Is that right?
after you resolve this die showing a shield, so it would be the Patient Padawan's die showing a shield. So
Or
Yeah, and Terra would gain that ability.
You
Yeah,
would
I
gain
forgot-
that ability. Yeah. So if you resolve the Terra 2 shields, you get your 2 shields and you'd mill as well.
Yeah.
I'm not a mill player though, so I've no idea whether double blue and something else would be even remotely viable as a mill. Maybe you guys have a better opinion on that.
double blue and Jawa.
So, wow, now I'm like, I totally forgot. I mean, I was the one who read it and I already forgot about it. Now I'm thinking, okay, if I'm in the mood to mill, I might just bring in that Patient Padawan. If I'm in the mood for like a Jar Kai deck, I'll bring in the other dude.
Well,
Because like that's a lot of health, and then you still have 13 team building points, right?
Yeah.
So you can. That's okay. Now I'm like, wow, this is
because you
kind
could bring
of fun.
you could bring in you could use this card, Terra Sanubi. You could bring in a Patient Padawan, and what's the point cost on a Patient Padawan?
Patient Padawan is
8 now.
8 points
8.
for an
So
8
you
health.
could bring in another. Like, there's 13 points, and so you're gonna be leaving some points. You could probably play a different plot or whatever with it. But 2 Patient Padawans with you have 3 characters that all mill. You can throw, let's see, at 8 points with 13, well, that's 5. You could throw a 5-point Jawa in there and get the Jawa Utini cards off. Like, this is pure Rando Mando right here.
Mhm.
But not Rando Mando, because he's already had a card.
Very
Yeah,
true. This is not Rando Mando's card, but this is the another blue version of that type of setup for sure.
I'll just say this is Darth Clooney's card.
That's right. This is Darth Clooney. Yep.
Yeah, we should give him the credit for an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who you'd pair it with. It just occurred to me, Rekan from Redemption. He's 10/13. He's got those shield sides.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. He doesn't actually have an inbuilt mill ability, but he brings red, which I think is pretty good for mill. So that would add up. Those dice sides are really. They don't lend themselves to mill though, really, because you've got
Right.
your melees, and there's no discards. So
Yeah.
that's a bit of a problem. Mill.
Maybe you
And-
go with the Jedi Apprentice and then someone like Ayla Sakura, and you just try and redeploy Jarkai. Jarkai
Yeah.
your characters up, and then they're all going to redeploy off Terra, and
Yeah.
maybe go for those sort of 1 and 2 melee sides and try and bug them up with weapons. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, every time I look at this guy and then I think more about it, I think it's a fun deck building card, right? I mean, if you, like I said, depending on your mood, right? What flavor are you in the mood for tonight? It's like you might want to try to build some interesting mill deck, or you might want to try to build some interesting aggro Dark High deck with weapons. So, yeah, right. That's cool. I really like it.
I mean, Echo 7, what do you think about the health of this? So it's a 14-17 character, and it's only 11 health, which, I mean...
We've learned that would be way under par, right?
Sure, it would, but then you're bringing in that extra character.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're getting that extra health. How much is Veers? I can't remember how much health he has. Is he 12? Is that right?
I believe he only has 10 health, if I remember correctly.
Was it 10? Right, okay, yeah.
10.
And he is he's also pointed 14-17, right? Is that correct?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he is 14-17. Sorry, I just checked. Yeah, so he's got sort of similar-ish size. In fact, he has a blank. So what I'm going to say is I love cards that get you thinking about deck building. You won't see me ever design a big 28-point character with a bunch of melee sides that you no criticism to them. I like them, but you won't see me design a Dinjarin because it's like you play him and he tells you to play ambush weapons. Like, okay, I'm going to put a bunch of weapons in my deck, and your deck sort of builds itself. You've got this big aggro thing. I really like mechanics and theme, and I like things that really make you think, and rather than a card that just says this is how you're doing your deck. I think the cards that say this is how you're doing your deck are really important to have in Destiny because they're great gateway and they're great for a bit of fun because you can just quickly throw together a deck. But I really love characters and cards that really make you think and give you loads of options. And I mean, this is the card that's got us thinking more than I think any other card we've looked at. And on that basis alone, and the fact that it doesn't feel particularly over or under, I mean, you can't even decide whether this guy's costed right or his health is right or anything. So I think that makes it really interesting, and for that reason, I'm going to give it a good.
Oh, great.
All right.
Excellent.
There it is.
Good. Well, by my reckoning, I've been trying to tally it up as we go. I've probably failed. I think we've got 4 goods.
Okay.
Apologies if there is a 5th good that I've just not remembered to write that down. I will remind us all of the goods, and then I think it would be great to get you to choose one, Echo 7. So the first good we had was Imperial Checkpoint, which was the battlefield from Ryan.
Battlefield, yep.
Which was pretty cool. Then we had Jar Binks, which was from Fable, which was also good. We had Lightning Strike, which was our Rando Mando blue card. And we also had Terra, the card that we've just looked at, Terra Sanubi. So they're all kind of good cards, and bear in mind that the card that you pick as the best card will contractually be the first spoiler in the next ARH set.
Oh my god!
You signed the contract by appearing on the video, so so that's it. I'm joking. Anyway, if you want to pick one of those, that would be a great job for us.
Sure.
What do you think?
That's so hard. But they're all so different, aren't they? We've got a character Jedi, we've got a battlefield, we've got Jar Jar. And we've got a blue villain event, so a nice variety. I think I'm gonna go with Jar Jar. I think Jar Jar's a lot of fun. It's a good FFG throwback. There's a lot going on there, and it feels very Jar Jar. It's the most themey card, I think. So I think that's a lot of fun, and I think we'll go with that one.
Fable.
Yeah,
It's not
great.
going to be It's not going to be breaking the meta. It's just a fun card, and
It's
it's
a
a
fun
sort of
card.
card that I'd put down on the table and just have a bit of fun with. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure every single Destiny player that's thought about making their own cards in their mind has thought of their own Jar Binks. I think that's like a rite of passage we all go through. So that is a great Jar Binks. Yeah.
I will say I had a go at a Jar Jar design, and it was just a mess. I mean, it was just a nightmare. I think I don't know what to think of this was some of the feedback I got, and so it did not make the cut. Definitely better than my Jar Jar.
Well, I mean, maybe in the future we'll have a Jar Binks Good, the Bad, and the Ugly special where everyone has to
Hey.
submit their own Jar competition.
There we go.
Nice.
And get that nailed. Then we can have you up against Echo 3 with your who's the best Jar creator. You can fight it out. Okay, well I think that's us. Let's wrap it up. It has been great having you, Echo 7. Great to have you on your debut debut feature in a Destiny piece of content. Great to put a face to the name that is always useful on all the Discords. Thank you very much. Majo and Polly, have you got anything to round us out with?
Thanks
was
for coming
awesome,
on,
man.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was good. It was a good one.
It
Yep.
was great chatting with you guys.
Yeah. We'll have you back, man, if you'll come back. So thanks again.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, we got crazy ideas for some more future shows, so yeah, you better watch what you're signing up for next time.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm just down the road from Echo 3, so I'm sure we could do a double video as well at some point.
we would love that.
Perfect.
That would be an absolute pleasure. Okay, thanks again, and we will catch you all next time on the next episode of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Thanks, everyone.
Adios.